and welcome back to the latest episode of the UK Glamping podcast, hosted by us here at Glampitect. So this is the first in a bit of a mini-series, really, if you like, of what we are going to be doing called quarterly catch-ups. So we're going to be doing this once a quarter with our CEO, Callum, and once a quarter with our special guest today, Luke. Now, to those of you who have seen or listened to the podcast before, Luke will be a familiar face and voice. But he is now in a new role, having been promoted since you last saw him, formerly research and reporting lead, but now our head of planning. Congratulations, Luke.
Thanks a lot. It's great to get a role with a little bit of a wider remit. But with not it's maybe a lot of it is a change of name rather than necessarily a change of role, because historically I've helped with doing a lot of jobs kind of outside of the brief of what was kind of expected of me before.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anyone would argue with that. Lovely to see that you can bring a bit of your influence to bear over the rest of the team. So what we're going to be doing, the aim of these quarterly catch-ups, is to provide our listeners and viewers just with a bit of an update, really, over either what we've been up to or any kind of hot topics in the industry, any trends, any new services that we might be bringing to the market, just so that we can fill them in, really, and give them a bit of an update. So with that in mind, I think the most appropriate thing to talk about will probably be the new land search service that we're looking at operating for our clients. And indeed, for those regular subscribers, they may well have already had the first email in that series. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about what's involved with that?
Absolutely. So, as you say, some of our listeners may have already seen the rollout of that first mail out. But what it's for is, well, I should probably start by saying, look, Glampitect's core business has always been helping people get planning permission. Obviously, we do a lot of help post with helping people link up with manufacturers and things like that. And also, a huge chunk of our business is feasibility studies and due diligence and helping people work out if the land that they have is suitable for a glamping site. But somewhere where we've always been asked for help is with finding land. And it's something that we've always wanted to be able to do, but maybe not had the time. But as we've progressed and grown, and as we've all gained experience, we've realised that we can very quickly ascertain whether land is initially suitable for a feasibility study, um,
Mm-hmm.
and and really be able to utilize the experience that we have to give a free service to our clients. And the best way that we could think of to do that, to really help the maximum amount of clients that we can, is through this free mail out service. So what we've done initially is look for land that's on the market across the UK, and then vet it for what we consider to be typically deal breakers. Now, I'll tell you what those are, and it's important to remember as well that every site is different, and something that might be a deal breaker on 95% of plots in the country might not be for every single site. But
Mm-hmm.
in principle, what we do is we look at flood risk, we look at whether you're in the green belt, for instance, a site of special scientific interest or significant scientific interest, maybe in a council area with a particularly poor approval rate. And so what we can do is essentially rule out these plots of land and say that, while they could still theoretically be developable under certain circumstances, they're probably not worth the punt of getting a feasibility study done unless you're doing it.
Yeah.
So the idea is that we can curate a list of available plots that are on the market at a reasonable price point, that we can quickly say, yes, these sites have been checked and we think they are worthy of a feasibility study, for to look at their suitability for whatever your planning or your glamping vision would be. So that's it in a nutshell.
Perfect. Yeah. So that's a question that certainly myself and I know a lot of the other sales guys get regularly for the people that don't already own the land is at what point do we kind of pull the trigger with a feasibility study, and like how can we identify those early red flags? So that's a massive step forward and a gap that I guess we previously had in our services. So for those clients who are getting these mailers at the moment, obviously we're trying to focus on kind of one area of the country at a time and show our clients a few different options. But obviously, we've got clients all over the United Kingdom and indeed the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland as well. If the areas that they're getting into their inbox aren't exactly what they're looking for, how can they engage back with us there? How can they?
Well, for starters, it's a case of getting in touch. As we say, this is a new service, and it's going to improve and grow over time. We've already had a really encouraging amount of feedback from our initial mail out that went out to a
Yeah,
section of our mailing
absolutely.
list. Um, and a lot of our clients or people that are yet to work with us have reached out saying, this is fantastic. We really like seeing this. Do you have any links or if have any ideas about land available in certain parts of the country? So all that information will be taken on board, and that will all form our kind of upcoming further mail outs. So while the land may not be in areas that every listener wants to consider, rest assured that all feedback that we get will help form our rollout plan for future iterations of this, and we will be trying to visit every corner of the UK. Obviously, there's variables there depending on what's available on the market at the time, and we're not going to suggest land that we think is not going to be suitable. So, there are parameters that are out with our control.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a
No, of
lot of
course.
there's a lot of developable sites out there, and it really is a case of using our experience to be able to help our clients not have to waste time thinking about things that at this stage they're not super familiar with. So yeah, it will be informed by feedback. So getting in touch with us, email addresses, contact@glampitect.co.uk is a good way to start. Visiting our website is a good way to start as well. Obviously, contacting Oliver, he will have links available all through this podcast, I'm sure. But there's
Yep.
myself as well, luke@glampitect.co.uk. Feel free to email me if you'd like to know more. We can certainly get the information out there to you. Also, if you've just missed the mail out and you want to be on it, we can reissue that to you. It only went out a couple of days ago. All the links that are in there are for land that has been on the market for a little bit of time, but nothing that has a auction date before the end of October. So there is still time if to view those bits of land and consider their suitability. But as I say, we have had a really strong response to this, so I wouldn't be surprised to see these bits of land being considered by the various people up and down the country now who are looking to get their glamping sites off the ground.
Yeah, 100%. You're quite right. I'll put everybody's contact details in the description of the episode as per usual. So if you want to get in touch with myself or Luke, or just to generally register yourself as a client with Glampitect, then do please follow the details below. I will also put a link to the kind of land search page, because we're gonna be including a feedback form at the bottom of that where you can put your details and the parts of the country that you would ideally like to see a mail about. And obviously, the more people we get that are focused in one area, the quicker we're probably likely to focus on that area rather than another. So that's all part of our free service that we're offering at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, we have all sorts of scope to offer bespoke service to clients if they do want a very more personalized and more targeted search in a particular area. Am I right in thinking that we'd be more than happy to take approaches for that? And
Absolutely, that's something that we're demoing just now, and it's the next step that we're hoping to roll out. Obviously, because we have a huge amount of interest and a lot of clients reaching out to us, asking for help with securing land or aiming to secure land. That's why we've started with this free service to reach as many people as we can and try and help as many people as we can at the same time. But certainly we are going to roll out a more bespoke exclusive service where we would look at a targeted area based on a brief that you would produce. You'll be able to buy a block of time for our researchers to go and look at what's available and give you a very personalised set of um, plots of land where that are available on the market. Now, that can be structured in a number of different ways. Maybe a block that's all done at one time. If there's you're casting a very wide net, or it might need to be broken down into smaller chunks if we're needing to wait for land to come up that's perfect for you. So it could be an hour long, or blocks that we may do that. But we're certainly flexible in that regard. We know that we need to be, because the land market can be particularly challenging. But we also know that we're pretty sort of exclusively placed to be able to provide some really specialist insight on this. As Ollie sort of alluded to before, I've been here for a while. I'm with my fourth year with the company. I've done personally over 1,000 feasibility studies and been involved in thousands more. So we look at land regularly, and there's other members of our team who are nearing that level of experience as well, who can all bring their insight to very quickly eliminate unsuitable plots of land, which is the core. Quickly taking those ones off the board, so that we can help inform our clients, so that they can make that decision about what the next step should be in terms of their due diligence. At that stage, we would always recommend doing a feasibility study with us, because that looks at the land in a much more acute way. And it also, the feasibility study would consider the very specific nature of your proposal. So, while land may very well be suitable for what we would consider a typical glamping site, there are elements in terms of scale, scope, the unit choice that may be um, kind of at odds with a local plan, or maybe less advantageous in certain circumstances. So we would always advise that, while we are doing the initial vetting for national designations, it's always important to take the next step and do a full feasibility study to really get an accurate breakdown of everything that you need to know in terms of the plot. And that would be looking at, and we've gone over it before, but
Yeah, yeah.
the feasibility study goes into look at case studies of similar approvals and refusals in the council area. It will look at all the local plan and the policies that would be applicable to your planning application. It goes into it gives you some advice on um, construction challenges and getting off the ground in that regard. What you need to know in terms of electricity services and all those things. It looks at return on investment and competition. It suggests a fair occupancy rate and a likely nightly rate that you could achieve, and gives you a whole bunch of advice on what the next steps and timelines and all those things would be. But it's important to remember that as much as the mail out will be able to look at that land at the very kind of initial stages, it's that what the clients actually wants, and what our listeners, what their vision is very important to know that, so that we can then have the context to fully consider it all the way through. So that's definitely the next step that we want you to move to, and it's a really valuable service, and it's historically worked incredibly well for our clients, and it's that's not a new thing. It's something that we very much our bread and butter.
Fantastic. Yeah. So that's the name of the game. Going to put a bet on myself. If you've got any kind of need for this sort of service, get in touch. If you feel that there's a slight tweak that would really make it fit well for you, pick the phone up, drop us an email, and let's have a conversation about how we can bespoke our services to what you need. Because we are flexible by nature, albeit we're not spring chickens anymore from a business sense. We like to stay as flexible as we can. And if you do want to understand a little bit more about kind of next steps and what's involved from the feasibility perspective, then just have a little look back through the list of episodes on this podcast, because we have done one previously where we do a much kind of deeper dive into that. I believe it was the third episode, titled "Is My Project Feasible?" So once again, details below. Pick the phone up, get in touch with us. We would love to hear from you if there's anything at all that we can add value to as part of your search for your glamping project. With that being said, I think we'll wrap it up there, Luke. Thank you very much for your time, and we will see you again in about another 12 weeks, if not before.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Thanks for having me again. And yeah, everyone that's listening, I really hope that those that have received the service have found it helpful, and anyone who's interested is not shy in getting in touch, because we're very excited about it, and we know that that this will be a really big help for people that are really at the start of their journey.
100%. Yeah, watch this space. The services are only going to get more advanced and more useful and more tailored to your needs. The more you tell us how we can help. So we look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Thanks, Luke.